Yo. Okay. Why you cannot sit with yourself. You're probably so asleep that remark has, you're probably like, what does he mean? What does he mean I cannot sit with myself? I sit with myself every time at lunch at 12 p.m. and I'm alone and I can be with myself. What is he talking about? If you can chill your ADHD for a little bit and stick around into the conversation so that I can unpack it a little bit, it'll make sense to you why this is. I've heard people like Gary Vee talk about them not meditating, them not wanting to meditate, and really that they don't need it. And that is totally fine because everybody operates in different ways. But I keep seeing some people or a certain group of people, it's not that I'm attacking them, it's just that I want to kind of start articulating more on the idea of why people cannot actually sit down and meditate with themselves. And it's not about meditating per se. Meditating is a good practice that you can, apply. I try to do it daily. I have been for about 10 years now. Obviously not daily. I've missed a lot of seasons. So at the same time, I feel like it's something that everybody can learn from. But most people can't even sit down with themselves and start to place their attention into their thoughts and feelings. Most people's anxiety is way too much for them to just chill, sit down, drink a mate, have a conversation. They're always thinking about the next move. They're in reaction to something external to them. And I've seen myself in that pattern a lot of different times. Now, the thing about not being able to sit with yourself, the way that I can correlate it is, number one, most people don't even have an idea of what their self is. So their idea of their self is just reacting to anything that their mind thinks of throughout the day, and whatever their persona is made up of, people telling them they're good in some experiences, them living experiences and becoming good at them, that's cool. But once it starts to get, how it starts to get interesting is when you start building your persona, building your own self, how you view yourself, how you want your world to look like, your lifestyle, your partners, how much money you're making, what you do on your day-to-day, 9 to 5, business, clients, what is it, right? Once you start designing your life that way, it starts to make sense, because the best life that you want to, the best life that you idealize that still hasn't been there yet can only be achieved by your idealized self. Like, you have to become the best version of yourself, or the closest version to your best self that could attract that dream life, that dream reality that you want, right? And when you're not living to your 100% of your potential, if you have a calling to even listen to this video, you might have a calling to run at 100% of your potential, but really you're running at 5%, you're running at 10, 20%. I've seen myself run 1%, 0%, bro. I've been stalled for years in some of my projects. So I definitely have seen myself being held back by these things, but it's just because I have such a big standard of who I really want to be. And you have to have an idealized version of where you want to get to and who you need to be, so that things start to get interesting. Now, most people can't even sit with themselves, because what are they going to sit with? They have no identity or no idea of themselves. But let's say you do have a goal, or you're trying to get to somewhere in life, but you just have so much anxiety because you owe people money, you owe the banks money, you owe yourself on promises, you've broken the promises that you've done to others, you have no real self-respect. You know that there's greatness in you, but you just haven't honored your word or your actions enough to start building the real you, who you need to be, the next step you that will attract that good reality that you want, that dream reality that you want. So most people cannot sit with themselves simply because, like I said, they're looking for external, number one, validation, external energy, external confirmation of what can be. The thing is, when you do that, you leave the locus of control to be not in your center. And when you do that, your whole life does not make any sense because you are just reacting to all the energies that are being thrown at you, whether that's a to-do list, whether that's going to the doctor, taking care of your family, taking care of your business, whatever it may be. And the truth is, most people just start to stack action and action and action and action and action. Imagine, bro, we live in a reality and we live in a world where people are 50 and 60 years old, dude, and they have never fucking sat down with themselves and asked, holy shit, like, where am I heading? Where am I going? Like, who have I been being? Why am I a freaking asshole to this person? Dude, I bet you most people live their lives like that. They haven't actually been like, oh shit, you know what? Like, let me actually rethink my life. No, bro. Most people are not. Most people are asleep. Most people are not thinking about that. They cannot sit with themselves. So if you start sitting with yourself, you start having conversations with yourself, you start having ideas and downloads that you didn't have before. And that's what can change your life or where you're heading to in life. You can start unpacking ideas or articulating things that you haven't done it with other people, or maybe you cannot do it with other people, but you end up doing it with yourself. Now, the thing is that you've all heard it, right? Reality is a mirror to what is internal. So if you were in business, you know that, even if you're an employee, you know that your work is heavily suffers from the emotional health that you have. So if you have very bad emotional habits, you're having emotional problems throughout your work days, your work is going to hinder. It's going to suffer, right? Same with your business. So when you don't take care of yourself, of your mental health, of flushing the toilet of all the shit, all the bad thoughts, energy, heavy vibration, judgment, and upon yourself, upon to others that you've been accumulating in your head, when you don't flush that shit, and you haven't flushed it for like 50 years, bro, like, where do you think your head is going to be? How do you think your thoughts are going to be? And then the ecosystem of your thoughts is just all swimming in shit because you haven't cleansed it, you haven't meditated, you haven't processed it, right? You haven't sat down with yourself, you haven't given yourself enough time to sit down with yourself. And what does that mean? Sitting down with yourself doesn't mean you're just sitting down and looking at your clock or listening to music or AKA meditating. No, sitting with yourself is sitting and becoming aware of everything. Becoming aware of your thoughts, becoming aware of the sounds, of the light, of the images, people passing through, how you're speaking, where you're speaking from. So once you start collecting your energy back towards an internal locus of control, everything starts reacting to you. And you stop reacting to everything. And you start having more of an imprint in life. And things start to manifest faster for you too, because you are the cause and you're not at the end of the effect. So most people, you know, like I said, have never sat down with themselves. They cannot sit down with themselves. One way to do it is through meditation. I can unpack that idea in other videos, but I just wanted to say there is a path to calm your mind, calm your monkey mind, and give yourself the chance to just sit down and do nothing. Like, we live in a Western world, like the Western perspective, bro, is like, if you're not doing something, if you're not hustling, bro, I'm probably working between 8 to 12 hours a day, mostly 10 to 12 hours a day, non-stop, 6 days a week. So I know about the hustle culture, but that doesn't mean that you're effective throughout those full hours. And also, sometimes the most effective thing you can do is to do nothing, because it'll open up space. It'll open up space for ideas, for creativity, for your fucking mind to breathe. That's it, bro. So sit down with yourself. Don't get too discouraged. Don't think you're one of these dudes that never meditate, that never sit down with themselves and ask, hey, how am I feeling? Start having a conversation with yourself as if you're somebody else. Hey, Frankie, how are you doing today? How did it go on that job interview? How did it go on the job? What do you think you can do better in your business? How can you attract more clients? What's holding you back right now? How do you feel? Why do you feel stressed? Could you have dealt with that conversation differently? Start having those conversations with yourself. Sit down, start articulating and understanding, hey, am I being the best version that I can be with myself and with others? Or do I feel like shit because I'm not, and I cannot sit with myself and address these things one by one? Right? So I'll let you to unpack that, but I just wanted to come in here, drink a mate with you guys. I'm drinking Canarias today. Not the Sereno blend, it's just the Canarias, the classic one. As you know, Canarias is a Brazilian yerba mate, but it's sold mostly to Argentina, Uruguay, and all these other places, and not in Brazil, because they drink a different type of mate, which is interesting, bro. These guys are business people, and I like that fact about Canarias, so I wanted to share with you guys. But anyways, if you guys do find some value into this, comment below, talk about how you've tried to sit down with yourself, or maybe if you've tried meditating or you haven't. I would just like to spark up some conversations there. Like the video if you enjoyed this or you got some value from it. And that's it, guys. Much love. Let me enjoy this mate. Have a nice one. Enjoy.